What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Alright, so before I get into this video, I want to give a big shout out to the brother Aram for once again showing love to the channel via the PayPal with a donation. Thank you once again for showing love. Aram is one of the fans of the old school of the NBA, my favorite type of fan. Because to me, I think the greatest era of the NBA, or eras, I guess, I would say is between I would go 1955 through 2000. It was still great the first 10 years of the 2000s. But then afterwards, it just completely fell apart after it, in my opinion. That's the LeBron era. I'm sorry. It's a joke. It's just my opinion. But this is a question that he asked me. And he asked me, how do I think, because he was asked this question, because, I guess, a lot of his friends, are old school NBA watchers. How would Wes Unseld and Dave Cowens do in today's NBA? Now, there's no real answer to that. We don't know. But I have to admit that I'm a little bit confused with this one. I'm a little bit stumped. Because today's NBA is all about what? Shooting. It's about shooting, passing. The play is more pushed out to the perimeter. Guys, players can't stand the paint like they used to. So it's everything that is pretty much to the opposite of what a lot of these guys did, especially Wes Unseld. I have to think like this. I would have to think that a guy like Dave Cowens, a guy like Wes Unseld, you have to kind of figure, well, look, you gotta have the thinking that they're gonna be born later, right? Instead of them being born in the 40s or what have you, this them be born 40, 45, 50 years later, right? So if that was the case, let's say they retained some of the same traits they had, they would have to make adjustments. Now, the one guy that for some reason pops in my head when it comes to Wes Unseld is Draymond Green, for some reason. Now, Draymond Green is not a good shooter. Wes Unseld was not a good shooter. Wes Unseld wasn't a great scorer. I think he only averaged 10, 11 points per game in his career? Something like that? Or was it 13, 12? Somewhere in that range. He wasn't a guy that lit it up. He was a better scorer than Draymond, but that's not what his game pretty much was predicated on. He was more of a defensive rebounding presence, and he was a great passer. One of the great outlet passers in the history of the NBA. Now, that skill set, for some reason, I could see him playing a Draymond Green role for a team like the Warriors, but look, everyone's talking about how Draymond Green is a Hall of Famer. Look, you put Wes Unseld in that role, having the offense run through him, his outlet passing, his rebounding, not needing the basketball because he's not really going to score much, and his defense. Then you'll see a Hall of Fame player with the Warriors. Then you'll see them, instead of having 4 championships, possibly 6 or more. Then you'll see a real Hall of Famer in this situation. I do think, though, that playing in today's NBA, although the pace was fast back then, by him not being in the paint as much and having probably to move around more, I don't think Wes Unseld bulks up to 265, 270. I think he stays more around what he weighed in college, which is 245, 250. All right, so basically I'm saying I think he'll carry about 25 less pounds because of the way the game is played. So I think he'll be a little thinner. Not that he was fat, I'm just saying I think he'd be a little bit thinner because he just wouldn't be in the paint. Can't stay in the paint like that anymore. I don't think he would ever be able to. I think he would shoot threes, but I don't think he'd be a great one. And the reason why I say that is because I tend to look at free throw percentage. Free throw percentage is usually a good indicator about how good a shooter a guy would be. Usually your best shooters, your great outside shooters, are usually phenomenal free throw shooters. Your Steph Curry, your Mark Prices, your Ray Allens, your Dame Lillards, your Calvin Murphy, though was with a three-point line back then. All the guys that were great outside shooters were almost always great free throw shooters. One of the worst ones I can think of is Dale Ellis, who for some reason was only 78% for his career from the line, which, was a little bit weird. But then again, Dale shot threes, but I wouldn't really say he would shoot a lot of deep ones, you know what I mean? But he was a great three-point shooter nonetheless. So when you look at Unseld, I think he was around the mid-60s as far as free throw percentage, lower 63, 64, 65. So I don't know. I think he would probably not take as many threes, maybe be around 29%, maybe 30% from three. So I don't think he'd be a good three-point shooter. But, yeah, whatever the things that Draymond Green does well, Wes Unseld does even better. But he's a real enforcer, cockstrong. I mean, he'd be a real enforcer for that team in that role, a great rebounder, a tremendous rebounder, great passer. And I think he'd be, he would be a threat as far as on the break. You know what I'm saying? Breakaway dunks, alley-oops off the backboard to, a Wiggins or something. I think I can see him doing that. I can see him excelling in that role on a team. That's what I started thinking about when I thought about Wes Unseld. Dave Cowens, I don't know. Dave was a hustle guy, right? Dave was a hustle guy. Dave was a great rebounder too. He was a little bit more offensive minded than Unseld. He was a guy that did everything. He could play defense, offense, block shots, could pass. He did everything. Like I said, he was a hustle guy. So, in today's NBA, maybe a smaller, not quite as dominant version of Jokic, maybe. Or maybe just one hell of a stretch. Maybe like he could also be more of a Kevin Love, maybe. But more, maybe like a Kevin Love in Minnesota, but a lot more active on the defensive end. Kevin Love was not noted for his defense, but one thing I think that he would have a problem with, Dave Cowens, is getting in foul trouble. Because, you can't get away with a lot of stuff today that you could back then. So I think he would get in foul trouble, possibly. He'll be foul prone, depending on who the hell they're playing or who he's playing with. But yeah, I mean, I think he would probably be a decent 3-point shooter. I don't know if he's great. A lot of people are like, why can you tell if a guy gonna be great? I don't know, but it's just a feel that I get for watching these guys. Like, I don't know. I think, like I said, the free throw percentage can be a good indicator of that. I think Cowens was in the upper 70s. So probably a decent 3-point shooter, but not great. Maybe 36%, maybe. Maybe 37, 36. So I think he would be a deep ball threat, maybe. I don't think he would be that efficient. I think he would be like a 44. Yeah, so I'm kind of thinking Kevin Love a little bit for some reason. I think he'd be like 44% from the field or something like that. 36% from downtown, 77, 78% from the line. Great rebounder. Um, but his thing would be, I think the difference between him and Kevin Love would be his tenacity. Kevin Love is more chill in his personality, more. No, I think that's not Dave Cowens. Dave Cowens would be a lot more fiery, confrontational. Um, I mean, balls to the wall, man. Like a white Dennis Rodman in some ways, you know. So that's what I'm kind of seeing. But but it's hard to envision these guys. They can't play the same way in this era. It'll be different. The way they play the game be different. Like Cowboys will be more on the perimeter. That's kind of what I'm seeing. I mean, maybe you guys can tell me what you're thinking, and maybe I'm missing something. But that's kind of what I see. Their shot blocks will be down because of the way the game is played. You know, guys aren't blocking 4 or 5 shots a game anymore because players aren't driving to the basket, and you can't stay in the paint like that. So that's kind of what I see. You know, maybe with Cowens, I don't know, maybe 19 points, maybe 12 rebounds, 4.5 assists, you know what I'm saying, 1.4 blocks or something, 1.6 steals. I mean, he'd be a really good player. Unseld, maybe 13 points a game, 14 rebounds, 7 assists. I think he probably more assists. 7 assists. Maybe something like that. I don't know. I'm just kind of putting numbers out there. I don't really. It's hard, you know. Like I said, it's just guesstimates. But anyway, tell me what you guys think.